Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, this is going to be the first episode of the Unity and C# series. So today we'll be covering creating the project in all the essential files, and then we're going to start by creating a script and then adding some simple stuff inside it, like the start function, the update function, and the different namespaces and using tags. So let's dive in. So you see here I opened up Unity Hub, so you just have to install it. The link is in the description below. So I can also guide you maybe through the process, but that might be for next video, so it's not going to be in the series. This series is already, if you already downloaded the Unity Hub. So I'll just link the installation of Unity in the description video. So in Unity Hub, make sure you logged in. You're going to go to installs, and then you're going to click add, and then the version you're going to be using. So I'm going to use the version 2019.4.22.F1, and this is this one. So you can just take that one, which will be on the same version, or you can just select a version here, like this LTS version or something like that. So you just select it. Next, make sure to include Microsoft Visual Studio, like this. Select it. And then select the build. If you want to build for WebGL, select it. If you want to build for Linux, select both of them. And if you want to build for Mac, select it. So yeah, then you just click next, accept, and done. Now this is for the Unity build. So I'm just going to cancel it because I'm going to use this one. So okay, so we have multiple and already have a couple versions you want to install, just like this, and choose the one you want to use. But if you don't really care, you can just select new, and that probably will select the latest one. So in here, this is the create new project window. Here we can select different project templates. So there's 2D, if you want to make a 2D game. Here's 3D, if you want to make a 3D game, and there's 3D with extras. 3D with extras already has the post-processing stack with it within the project, and will have some example content and some presets already included. The 3D and 2D is like completely empty project. This one is completely empty project for 3D, and this one is for 2D, without any example content and stuff like that. This high definition render pipeline, this template utilizes the high definition render pipeline, making it a good starting point for people focused on high-end graphics that want to develop for platforms that support shader model 5.0, so it's DirectX 11 and above. So that's if you really want to create high quality games, but this is not for mobile. So if you're thinking about publishing for mobile, this won't do. This is only for Mac. I think this is Mac, Windows. I don't know about Linux, but it's Windows and Mac, definitely. So next we have Universal Render Pipeline. Universal Render Pipeline is the scriptable render pipeline. So it's like a mix. Like this 2D and 3D doesn't have the best graphics. It's just like the low render pipeline, but this one has like better graphics and might be recommended if you're using mobile, because this can also be built to mobile. Now this karting microgame just basically is a kart microgame where you can create it and then you can name the project, and then it'll be just like a player, and there'll be a starting finish line, and then you can just ride with basic WASD controls and stuff like that. Now this 2D platformer game, you'll be like moving. It'll be a 2D platformer, this like example projects. FPS microgame is a 3D one. It's a HD sample room. build like a car and stuff like that. And then this mobile 2D, if you're trying to do a mobile 2D game, this mobile 3D, trying to do a mobile 3D game, this AR is that when you like point to your phone at an object, and then you can place objects on top of the object you're pointing at, stuff like that. And then VR, virtual reality, and Lego micro game. Like the project is Legos. So like your character is a Lego, and you have third person controller of a Lego character. So for today, I'm going to choose 2D. So like the first one, I'm gonna name the project Ep.1. And I'm going to choose it in directory. So you can choose any directory you want. I'm going to choose my directory here, just documents, and where it is, Unity projects. Here, select folder. I'm going to click create, and this should take a while. If you've waited long, you should have a window appeared, and here's the window. So probably if you're using a different little version, you might, like, I don't know, but you might have it white like this, light. But if you can actually change, but you might have this one. If you don't like this one, you might, and you can change this. It's this compatible. You can't really change the theme, like really low versions. Only like from 2019 something. If you have 2017, you won't be able to change. So I'm going to choose dark because I like that more. And here, okay. So this is the UI. This is the hierarchy. So this hierarchy is a place where all the objects in your scene are like, this where you can see all objects that are placed in a scene. This is not where you actually can visualize them, only you can see the title of the objects. And you can click on them, then edit them. So here is the name of the scene. So a scene is like a world, and so like maybe like the main menu of a game can be a scene, and then the game itself can be a scene, and different game modes can be different scenes and stuff like that. So here's the name of the scene, and then so main camera is at a default. So here it is, the main camera. If I select these, so we also have these tools here. This is the hand tool. We can move around the viewport. This thing is called the viewport, by the way. So you can move around. And this one is so moving objects around. This one is to rotate objects. And this thing is to scale objects. And this one is to scale in different ways. So yeah, so that's these little tools. So this is the project window. The project window is the window where all of your stuff in the project or the assets folder are stored. So if you go to documents, Unity projects, Ep.1 assets, this is what here it is. So the scene, which is the default scene, which is generated by Unity when you open a 3D or 2D project. So here's scenes that, so meta is not seen here. It's just something that Unity needs to create the files and all. This contains information about the scenes folder. So in the scenes, we got sample scene that Unity. This is the scene. And this is the informative object for the scene. We don't have anything else, but here, this is the assets folder where you will need to drag all your models, textures, and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna drag it back here. And now, so now we will Here we got the viewport. This thing is called the scene, but it's actually, this is the viewport. Viewport window here. So scene, this is called scene. So these things are called like docks. So I'm just going to close little docks there. So the scene is where all the actual visual stuff is happening. So when I click play, this is actually what happens on the screen. Right now the background is blue. So the game is where all the happens from the cameras. This is where actually from the editor perspective. So here you can actually select things, move them around, change from 3D to 2D. So to move around the scene in a 3D world, this isn't covered in this yet, but it's fairly simple. Just WASD and E to move up, Q to move down, and forward, backward, A, W, S, A, D. So yeah, let's move back to 2D. And now I'm going to so this is the scene, this is the game. Game is basically really simple. This is everything here that has from the camera, which is displaying stuff, the main camera. So you can also, like, if you add another camera here, it's here, and you might, like, there are two cameras right now. Disable one, they're all around. You don't really see a change, but, so yeah, you can add different cameras and stuff like that. So this is the page where you will see everything that is displayed through the cameras. Okay, so now when you click on an object, there's like a little inspector window showing up. If you don't click on anything, it won't show up without anything. So click on the main camera first, for instance, and you will get this icon. So you can just like add different icons how you see in the editor, not in the game window, only in the editor. And you can change different tags. We'll cover tags later. You can change none back to none. So you can change the static, you can add the layers, and this is really important as well. Transform. This is the position. So position on X can be 5. We'll move it 5 there. -5 here. And you can change, like, double click on an object always to locate and go to it. So let's say you chose a weird something and you want to reset it. Well, all I have to do is right click on transform and click reset. Now double click on main camera to go to it again. So okay, this part is done. Now we got components. A component is basically an object with a lot of things you can add or edit. So on the main camera, we have a component called camera. On this camera component, we got a clear flags. We won't cover it here, but this is all properties of this component. The background is what is the background, and the camera we can change it like that. So we can change it to color. So now it's a reddish orange. We can make it blue or something like this. Or we can change the skybox. Well, it won't work in 2D. This is ready in the next little series. Not the next series, but in this series, but next episode where we'll cover 3D stuff. Okay, so see, I'll pick some like white. Now this camera's preview is going to be white. So if we create a new camera, then we set the transform, and it's blue because if this thing we can deactivate objects. We can also deactivate some components like the camera component. Okay, back to the camera component properties. In the camera component properties, we also have calling mask. This is what type of layers we can see through this camera. So currently we have everything, so it's good. Let's just leave it on that. And projection. This is what kind of projection we want, perspective or orthographic. Here it says size, clipping planes, and now far and near, viewport rec, depth, rendering path. This is more for graphics and stuff. Target texture, HDR, and stuff like that. We got this audio listener. Audio listener basically is required on at least one camera in the scene, otherwise you won't hear the audio. So make sure to add that if it isn't here. Well, it should be, so be weird if it isn't. Okay, I think we're done on the inspector. You can also add new components by clicking here. We have tons and tons of components. So jet physics, which will be later, there's also a physics component, which is called the rigid body. And this rigid body, it will work on the camera because how can a camera fall when there's no actual object for the camera? Here's the rigid body. I should be using the rigid body 2D later because we're working in 2D right now. So here it is. So yeah, that's the basics of the editor. So yeah, so the scenes, we can create new folders like this. Create a script later on. This is how we're going to create a script called main, and I'm going to double click to open it. So it's going to take a while, so I'll double click. So now we got the Visual Studio window opened. Here it is. So you probably might get this thing, miscellaneous files. This is really bad because it won't autocorrect your things. So to fix that, I have to I'm going to quit Visual Studio again, close it, and we're going to go to Edit, Preferences, External Tools, and make sure it is selected here. Make sure that's selected, otherwise it won't work. Next, what I have to do is try opening it again. And it should have worked. So, the vector, yeah, okay, it worked. There's no miscellaneous files here. It says assembly C#. Great. So, this might be quite overwhelming for you, this tiny bit of code, but it's actually really simple. So, this is the class identifier. Public class main. And then what? You don't really have to bother this. I mean, you have to edit the code in these curly brackets here. So before the class here, we have the using tags. These using tags, we like tell the code to use things or code from the specific module or things like libraries and stuff like that. But we'll cover that more in the future. So here, so also we'll be covering functions later on, but this specific thing is really important. This void start is, here's the function. Just type any code you want to be run the second the game is started and the object for the code is activated. So let's pretend, let's like want to type something. Let's say you don't really have to understand what we're doing right now. You can just going to type hello, some kind of action, and on the start. And if we go to here, we're going to add the script, let's say to So to add a script, I'm going to just drag the main script on here, and bam. So if we click play, we should get hello here. We'll cover more how to get the text in the console like here, but that's just so you know it's actually executed on frame. Not a frame, but like on the start. So on void update is like every frame. So if your frames for FPS is like 60, so then this will be called 60 times per second. If your FPS is like 160, it will be called 160 times per second. So this is, I hope that made sense for you. So what we could do is we create something really simple. You don't have to understand just yet. So just make a quick little variable counter, and then here I can just do counter at, then I can just do debug.log frame and counter. And now let's see what I did. And now each frame, oh yeah, I removed the script from the script won't run if you remove it from the object. It has to be on an object. So see, the frame is updating. This is the frame. So if you stop, this is called on the frame. This is called on 1399 frame in the game, right? So we see goes in every frame. There's so many frames called. So there's frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, frame 5. So yeah, I hope you understand how frames work and the update function. So I think that's enough for the script today. You won't have to understand the variables, just so you know that it's called every frame per second. So yeah, that's the basics of the Unity engine and C#. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the rest of the series and make sure to hit subscribe and like. Thank you all for watching and see you in the next one.